If you want to spot a foolish man in seconds, don't watch his success, watch his ego. The loudest in the room is rarely the wisest, and as Winston Churchill proved, true leadership isn't noise, it's nerve, humility, and unshakable character. True wisdom does not shout in the streets, it walks quietly, listens carefully, and speaks only when necessary. A foolish man, on the other hand, cannot hide himself for long. His words betray him before his actions do, and his pride exposes him before truth ever needs to accuse him. As Winston Churchill once reminded the world through both his courage and his wit, leadership begins with character, and character reveals itself in moments of pressure. A foolish man believes volume is the same as authority. He raises his voice when he lacks reason. He interrupts when he cannot understand. He confuses dominance with respect and noise with strength. But leadership is not proven by how loudly a man speaks, it is proven by how calmly he stands when others panic. The wise man measures his words, the foolish man spills them without thought. A foolish man refuses to listen. Advice feels like insult to him. Correction feels like attack. He builds walls around his ego and calls it confidence. Yet real confidence has no fear of learning. The greatest leaders in history listened more than they spoke because they understood that knowledge grows in humility, not arrogance. When a man cannot sit quietly and absorb another perspective, he reveals the limits of his mind. A foolish man blames others for his failures. Circumstances are always unfair. People are always against him. Luck is never on his side. Responsibility is a burden he avoids. But leadership demands ownership. Even in defeat, a strong leader says, "The fault is mine." Blame may protect pride for a moment, but it destroys credibility forever. A foolish man is controlled by his emotions. Anger drives his decisions. Envy shapes his relationships. Impulse governs his actions. He reacts before he thinks and regrets after he acts. True strength lies in restraint. The ability to remain composed when insulted is far greater than the urge to retaliate. Leadership requires discipline of the mind long before it requires control of others. A foolish man cannot distinguish between confidence and stubbornness. He clings to wrong ideas because admitting error feels like weakness. But growth begins where ego ends. The leader who corrects himself grows stronger. The fool who defends his mistake digs a deeper hole. Changing one's mind in the face of truth is not defeat, it is maturity. A foolish man seeks praise more than progress. He wants recognition without effort. He desires status without sacrifice. He chases applause instead of achievement. But leadership is built in silent hours of preparation, in unseen moments of discipline, in sacrifices no one applauds. Applause fades quickly, character endures. A foolish man underestimates the power of patience. He wants quick success and instant results. When obstacles appear, he quits or complains. But great victories are not born overnight. They are forged through endurance. Patience is not weakness, it is controlled strength. The leader who endures hardship without losing direction separates himself from the fool who collapses at the first sign of resistance. A foolish man mocks what he does not understand. Instead of learning, he ridicules. Instead of asking, he assumes. Mockery is often a mask for insecurity. The wise man seeks clarity before judgment. He knows that understanding requires curiosity, not contempt. A foolish man measures his worth by comparing himself to others. He is threatened by another's success. He speaks poorly of those who rise. But envy is a confession of insecurity. The strong leader celebrates growth, even when it is not his own. Competition should inspire improvement, not bitterness. A foolish man cannot keep his word. Promises come easily to him, but consistency does not. He speaks commitments with confidence but forgets them when convenience calls. Trust is the currency of leadership, and once broken, it is rarely restored. Reliability may seem simple, yet it is rare and powerful. A foolish man confuses popularity with respect. He seeks to please everyone and stands for nothing. He changes opinions to gain approval. But leadership requires conviction. Respect is earned by standing firm in principles, not by bending to every breeze of opinion. A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. A foolish man avoids difficult conversations. He hides from truth because it is uncomfortable. He delays decisions because they are challenging. But problems ignored do not disappear, they grow. A leader confronts issues directly, even when it costs comfort. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is action despite fear. A foolish man speaks of plans but takes no action. Dreams fill his mouth but not his schedule. Intentions replace discipline. Vision without action is fantasy. Leadership demands execution. Words inspire, but actions transform. A foolish man refuses to prepare. He assumes success will arrive without effort. He walks into challenges without readiness and calls failure bad luck. Preparation is invisible strength. When opportunity meets readiness, success appears almost effortless. But that effort was invested long before the moment arrived. A foolish man surrounds himself with flatterers. He chooses comfort over truth. He prefers praise to honesty. But the leader who invites criticism grows sharper. Honest feedback strengthens vision. Flattery weakens judgment. A foolish man cannot manage success. When small victories arrive, arrogance follows. He begins to believe he is untouchable. Pride blinds him to danger. Humility protects the wise leader from self-destruction. The higher one rises, the more grounded one must remain. A foolish man fears change. He clings to familiarity even when growth demands movement. He resists new ideas because they challenge his routine. But leadership thrives in adaptability. The world shifts, and those who refuse to evolve are left behind. A foolish man wastes time arguing over trivial matters. He invests energy in proving himself right instead of seeking what is right. The wise leader knows that not every battle deserves engagement. Silence can be stronger than response. Focus determines success. A foolish man misunderstands strength. He believes dominance proves power. Yet true strength lies in self-control, in measured response, in steady direction. The calm mind governs the chaotic room. A foolish man breaks unity for personal gain. He divides rather than unites. He spreads discord to elevate himself. But leadership builds bridges, not walls. It unites people under purpose, not ego. A foolish man cannot endure criticism. He reacts defensively instead of reflectively. He sees feedback as attack rather than opportunity. Growth often hides inside correction. Only the mature can extract value from it. A foolish man mistakes busyness for productivity. He fills his days with activity but accomplishes little. Movement is not progress. True leadership prioritizes what matters most and eliminates what does not. A foolish man talks about loyalty but practices convenience. He stands with people only when benefit exists. Integrity remains steady even when reward disappears. Loyalty revealed in hardship carries weight. A foolish man believes shortcuts replace discipline. He seeks easier paths even when they compromise values. Shortcuts often lead to long-term regret. Enduring success requires foundation, not hacks. A foolish man forgets that reputation is built slowly and destroyed quickly. One reckless moment can undo years of effort. The wise leader guards his character carefully, knowing it is his greatest asset. A foolish man allows fear to dictate his destiny. He avoids risk entirely, never stepping beyond comfort. But courage creates opportunity. Growth demands movement into uncertainty. A foolish man speaks before thinking and acts before planning. Reflection is foreign to him. Yet leadership flourishes in thoughtful pause. The space between reaction and response determines outcome. A foolish man fails to learn from history. He repeats mistakes because he ignores lessons. The wise study the past not to live in it, but to build a stronger future. A foolish man cannot admit ignorance. He pretends knowledge rather than seeking it. But wisdom begins with acknowledging what one does not know. Honest humility opens the door to growth. A foolish man overpromises and underdelivers. His ambition exceeds his discipline. Trust erodes when words surpass results. Leaders ensure that results exceed expectations. A foolish man is impatient with process. He desires reward without refinement. Yet character is shaped in process, not in applause. The journey molds the leader. A foolish man sees obstacles as endings. The wise see them as tests. Challenges refine resolve. Hardship reveals depth. A foolish man chases revenge instead of progress. He wastes energy proving others wrong rather than proving himself capable. Success, not retaliation, is the most powerful response. A foolish man values pride over peace. He holds grudges tightly. Forgiveness feels like weakness. But peace strengthens focus. Letting go liberates energy for greater pursuits. A foolish man believes leadership is about control. In truth, leadership is about influence, service, and vision. Control fades, influence endures. A foolish man confuses criticism with disrespect. He fails to see that questioning can strengthen ideas. Debate sharpens clarity. A foolish man underestimates consistency. He seeks dramatic breakthroughs but ignores daily discipline. Small repeated actions build extraordinary results. A foolish man neglects self-improvement. He assumes he has arrived. But growth never ends. Leaders remain students for life. A foolish man disregards the value of timing. Even good ideas fail when poorly timed. Wisdom recognizes when to act and when to wait. A foolish man sees leadership as privilege, not responsibility. He enjoys authority but avoids accountability. True leadership carries burden with dignity. A foolish man forgets that character speaks when words are silent. Reputation whispers long after conversations end. A foolish man builds image, a wise leader builds substance. Image may attract attention, but substance sustains respect. A foolish man cannot handle solitude. Silence confronts him with himself. But leaders require reflection. In quiet moments, clarity is born. A foolish man laughs at discipline and admires indulgence. Yet discipline is freedom. It creates strength to choose wisely. A foolish man underestimates kindness. He sees it as weakness. Yet kindness builds loyalty, trust, and influence. A foolish man seeks control over others but neglects control over himself. Self-mastery is the foundation of all leadership. A foolish man desires success without sacrifice. But sacrifice precedes achievement. Comfort rarely produces greatness. A foolish man misjudges silence as ignorance. Sometimes silence is strategy. A foolish man rushes judgment. The wise gather understanding. A foolish man competes destructively. The wise compete constructively. A foolish man measures leadership by titles. The wise measure it by impact. A foolish Man forgets that storms pass. Temporary hardship should not dictate permanent decisions. A foolish man sees disagreement as hostility. The wise see it as diversity of thought. A foolish man fears losing face. The wise fear losing integrity. A foolish man believes he is always right. The wise seek to be correct. A foolish man reacts to insult with rage. The wise respond with restraint. A foolish man sees leadership as spotlight. The wise see it as service. A foolish man ends where pride begins. The wise begin where humility leads. And in the spirit of strong, resilient leadership often associated with figures like Winston Churchill, the clearest way to recognize a foolish man is not through his failures alone, but through his refusal to learn from them. For wisdom grows through reflection, humility, courage, and responsibility, qualities that separate true leaders from those who only pretend to lead.